So today, our story is about a girl named Susan. What is the girl's name? Susan. Okay. Susan was living with her mother, né? And Susan's mother sent her to the shop one day to go buy bread. Né? Like any other mother would send a child to go buy bread by the shop. Now, but they didn't have like an ordinary shop like ours. It was like a bakery where they bake bread and cake and all that stuff. So Susan went to the shop, to the bakery, né, to go buy the bread. Her mother gave her money to go buy the bread. And then Susan was on her way. She went there to the bakery, and there was a man. The baker was selling the bread. And Susan gave the money to the baker, and she said, "Can I have a loaf of bread, please, sir?" And the baker gave her the loaf of bread, and then he also gave her change. But then on her way, while she was checking the money, she saw that the baker gave her more change than what he was actually supposed to give her. So Susan went out of the shop, and then she was standing there and thinking, must I now go back and tell the uncle that he gave me more money? Or must I just leave it, take it, and go home? Now, at first, I thought maybe Susan is going to take the money for herself, because some of us do that stuff. And then Susan was on her way home. Now she was walking and walking, still thinking, must I go back, must I go home? But she's walking home. So she goes home, and she comes at home. And then her mother, she gave the change to her mother and the bread. And the mother was asking, Susan, how can you do this? You saw that the money was not enough, but you just left the shop. You should have told the uncle that he gave you more change. You are being dishonest. And then Susan was standing there and thinking, but now it's more money for us then. We didn't lose because now we have bread and we have more money. Sure. And then her mother told her, no, go back to the shop and you tell the baker that he gave you more than he was supposed to give you. And then Susan was now back. Susan wasn't actually happy that she went back, but she had to go back. Because if you go back to your mother's going to give you a hiding because you lied and you stole. So Susan went on her way back to the bakery. And then she got there to the bakery, but while she was at the door, she saw that the manager is now in charge of the whole shop and of the baker. So he was shouting the baker, saying, remember the money that you buy with at the shop? They put it in the till, and then they count the money at the end of the day, every day. So now the baker's money was short, and then the manager told him, what did you do with the money? Now imagine the manager probably thought that the baker stole the money, which is not what happened. But then Susan saw that the manager was shouting now, the baker. And she was standing there and thinking to herself, I feel so sorry now, and I feel so bad, because if I in the first place told the baker that he gave me more than what he was supposed to give me, then the baker would never been shouted. But then she said, excuse me, sir. And then the baker asked, yes, my dear, can I help you? And then Susan said, sir, you gave me more change than you were supposed to give me, so I'm bringing the money back to you. And she did that in front while the manager was also there. So she was being honest. So, and then, you know what happened? The baker actually said to Susan that she's a very good child, and he thanked her for being honest. And you know what happened? He gave her a nice big cupcake for her honesty. Amen. And he told her, thank you so much for being honest. You are a very good child. And so Susan went home and she told her mother, and her mother gave her a big hug. And she told her, you are a very, very good child. So my story today is about being honest and not being dishonest. So you mustn't be dishonest. Because remember, God doesn't like us to be dishonest. He loves us. He wants us to be honest. Amen.